of no surprise that impact is definitely one of the outcomes of the ISEC journey. This impact, like I said, is on the individual, is on the person, is on the society that they live in and participate in. And this leads me to the next section, which is Impact Talks. Now, up next, we have 4 speakers who are going to share with us their journeys and the kind of impact that they've created. But what is key and what is instrumental to these speakers is that they don't just talk, they walk the impact talk. And without further ado, I'd like to invite our first speaker on stage, Mr. Anirudh Bele, who provides young speakers and young people a chance to affect and influence social change through his platform, You Speak India. I leave it over to Anirudh.
Please forgive me for not walking and talking. I'm not very comfortable with moving around when I'm talking. उम्र भर खालिद यही भूल करता था, धूल चेहरे पे थी और आईना साफ कर रहा था. All his life, Khalid would wipe the mirror clean, and only later did he realize the dust was really on his face and not the mirror. William Shakespeare echoes this thought in Julius Caesar when Cassius turns to Brutus and says, "The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings." And as a people, we tend to be oddly very fond of blaming our stars. And you know what's cute about this? We're quite indiscriminate about this tendency. Whether they are Bollywood stars or astrological stars, damn them all. The theme for this event is the new leadership definition. If ISEC has taught me anything about leadership, it is about taking ownership for myself, for my actions, and for my responsibilities. And if I have a motto in life that I've developed through ISEC, it is that the buck stops here, and that will inevitably always be the case. Dignitaries, distinguished guests, Member Committee President Gurinpal Singh, the Member Committee of ISEC India, ladies and gentlemen, namaskaram, and good evening. Through the next few minutes, I will walk you through how ISEC has contributed towards my inner unfoldment. And this is particularly special to me because I'm not the only protagonist in the story. My ISEC experience has given birth to You Speak India, the forum that I presently run. And more importantly, it has given me substance in realizing my larger calling in life. I don't look at this as a speech as much as I do an introspective process, and I'm particularly honored to be doing this in the company of friends and elders of ISEC India, especially at a time when this organization is celebrating 34 years of generating leadership in this country. As an Indian and as an ISECer, I consider this to be a solemn and even sacred opportunity, and I can't tell you how much I cherish being here. My paternal grandmother, we used to call her Ammi. She died when I was 13. She's played one of the most important roles in my life. The most phenomenal thing about her is that ever since I was this much above sea level, she invoked a sense of maturity in me. Ever since the age of 9, I would sit with her facing the Bandra sea face, and we would be talking for hours about politics, Vedanta, the Sanskrit language, culture, history, and all sorts of things. I was only 9 years old. In fact, one of my most cherished memories with Ammi was when, on one summer, she sat with me and she read me a couple of letters a day from Pandit Nehru's Glimpses of World History. The remarkable part about that vacation was I started that vacation in some random village republic of the Aryan civilization, and a couple of weeks down the line, I was bang in the middle of the Industrial Revolution, watching it unfold in England, as it were. This sense of public spirit that Ammi instilled in me developed through my formative years, and I entered my young adulthood with an abiding interest in politics and public affairs. And my college years was a very transformative period because that was a time when I was being heavily influenced by the writings of and on Gandhiji, Pandit Nehru, Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, Sardar Patel, and my favorite, Rajaji. I was very curious to understand what this phrase, the idea of India, meant, and I decided to turn to history to understand this better. And now is when the fun starts because ISEC came into my life. And ISEC came into my life as a force in contrast. While I would spend a lot of time reading history and engaging with the past, ISEC presented itself as a picture of the future and the unfolding present. And I don't think this needs much of an explanation. Because with its vast network of young people across the globe, rapidly expanding on an annual basis, ISEC's culture was in tune with the unfolding narrative of my generation at that point in time. And this contrast between my engagement with history and between my work in ISEC was so very important because it helped me translate the influences I was getting from tradition and history into contemporary thought. It was a sort of an integrative process, and this integration unfolded best in the team experiences that constituted my ISEC journey. Now, of these experiences, one stands out as truly phenomenal. My position as organizing committee controller for ISEC in Chennai's Project Footprints and Balakalakar was one of the most remarkable experiences I've had in my life. It was over here that I discovered I could carry out an idea. It was over here that I discovered I could actually lead. The project basically focused on children from economically strained backgrounds. We were given 5 weeks. In those 5 weeks, we had to work with 14 NGOs to tailor programs to teach children critical practices in health and sanitation. When I was appointed to lead the organizing committee, Kishore, wherever you are, he was someone who really helped me out at that point in time. He and the executive body of ISEC in Chennai at that point in time gave me some freedom to choose my team. And I was particularly on the lookout for people who disagreed with me and with good reason. Having them on board kept me real, kept my team real, kept us grounded. No point of view passed the team uncontested, and I did not have the luxury of being even faintly unjustified in my decision making. Constructive dissent in this way raised the quality of our work and ensured a certain level of perfection. I will not be too starry-eyed about it, and I'll tell you the truth. Yes, we did fight a lot. There were plenty of arguments, but it came to us as no surprise that in the end of the entire team effort, we managed to impact 10,000 children, which was unprecedented in the history of ISEC in China, or perhaps even ISEC in India's Balakalakar efforts. And we managed to successfully complete the largest project Footprints in Balakalakar in the history of the ISEC India network till date. And I don't take pride in this as much as I look at this as a very crucial experience, because the success of this event and this project cemented my belief and my faith in the virtues of democratic leadership. After this event got over, I sat with my team and we were reflecting for some time. We reflected over the last 3 months that just passed. And I can speak for myself in telling you that I was in tears. And I'll tell you why. Kabir Cafe just treated us to some amazing poetry on Kabir. I would like to invoke Kabir once again, because in one couplet he captures my sentiment, the sentiment that I want to convey to you. He says, Kabira khada bazaar mein, liya lukati haath, jo ghar baare aapne chalo hamare saath. Kabira stands in the marketplace, flaming torch in hand. Burn your home first, he says, and then come march with me. What does he mean by burn your home? He means burn that little restricted sense of identity you have created around yourself. Burn it down and come march with me. This aspect about expanding beyond your limited sense of self is what I have come to love most about leadership. Think about it. When this limited sense of self, this individual mind, is consumed in the larger mind of the team, more so in the larger mind of a lofty cause, one experiences a state of expansion. And in that state of expansion, I realize that I have grown to become something far bigger than what this limited apparatus can give me. And tell me, is there something more inspiring than that? I certainly haven't come across something more inspiring than this. After my Balakalakar experience ended, I immersed myself deeper into the subject of political economy and politics. The conviction that I built through the eminent jurist Nani Palkhiwala was growing stronger. I must say that Mr. Palkhiwala is my personal hero. I admire him and even revere him. He happens to hail from this great city of Bombay. The conviction that I built through Mr. Palkhiwala was that eternal vigilance is the price we pay as citizens of a democracy. And if we are prepared to take matters of law, of public policy, of politics, of public affairs lying down, then we don't deserve to be members of a free society, because owing to our complacence, one day we might even lose the basic freedoms and liberties that make this country so great. Frankly, I felt so strong about this that I had to act on it. And inevitably, I turned to ISEC. This conviction crystallized into a dream, a personal dream for ISEC in Chennai, my local committee. I resolved to work for a local committee wherein the level of dialogue was raised and an active engagement in public affairs was instilled in our membership. I wanted ISEC in Chennai to feature dynamic young people who could claim in themselves a strong sense of public spirit. If you've been in ISEC, you'd know how uncommon it is for a team leader to apply directly to be the president of a local ISEC chapter, especially without going through an executive body experience. For those of you who are unfamiliar with ISEC, it's like a David and Goliath story, except in this case, the story ends the other way around, almost always. I was so inspired after my term as organizing committee controller, and I was driven to make a change in my immediate surroundings. I applied and stood for elections to the office of local committee president, ISEC in Chennai. And I'm telling you this because this episode has given me one of the most crucial lessons in leadership that I've ever learned. After an inspiring and largely animated contest, I lost the election. Upon losing, I engaged in some introspection. I realized that though my goal of winning the election was not fulfilled, my vision to foster a sense of public spirit among young people, among my peers, was still ablaze. I decided not to get troubled by defeat. I decided to knuckle down and get my hands dirty. Though I continued in ISEC as Vice President Business Development under the very able leadership of Kishore, I acted on my larger intentions and started You Speak India, a forum dedicated to promoting public policy awareness and political engagement among young people. The purpose that drives our forum is to invoke and establish an informed and young electorate. How do we do this? We do this by simplifying matters of public policy and politics, either through music, through dance, through theatre, through film, or even the written word, such that these issues percolate seamlessly into the minds of the young. Essentially, what we're trying to do is marry vital intellectual thought with popular youth culture. Within months, our forum diversified, our engagements diversified, our articles were published and read quite widely. Our cafe-based discussion forum called What's Brewing became hugely popular, and in March 2014, just a couple of months after we started our organization, we were humbled to learn that India Today magazine decided to feature Vineet, our co-founder, who's also an ISEC alumnus, and myself, on a list of 30 young achievers who were defining the Indian experiment as we see today. It was something that truly humbled the entire team experience of the university. Vineet and I continue to work with You Speak India alongside our studies and our professional commitments. We work very closely with ISEC in Chennai in fulfilling our objectives, and I earnestly say this, that I hope that in the near future we work with the entire ISEC India network as well, and I look forward to bringing this up in a discussion with Gurin and Alok at a later point. Before I end, I want to share something very personal with you, and I request your indulgence. I hold a very deep-seated dream to serve in public life one day. And this dream is very dear to me. I want to work for a liberal society that upholds equality before the law in status and in opportunity. I want to work for an India that makes the most of the globalized world and still celebrates her rich and diverse cultural legacy. I want to work for a people who will not shy away from asking tough questions and will invoke every occasion to be one for self-reflection and self-perfection. I want to work for a powerful India whose might includes but extends beyond her military and economy. I want to work for a country that will uphold peace and democracy across our world. In realizing this dream, the episode I just narrated about my election experience taught me something very important. I realized that instead of keeping my focus on what I could be in life, a parliamentarian, a politician, a public official, social activist, my focus should be on what I can do, not what I can be. Rather, even if intermittent goals are not achieved along the way, my larger vision to serve in the public good must not limp. And therefore, I've come to understand that मैं कुछ बनने की नहीं सोचता हूँ, मैं कुछ करने की सोचता हूँ, और करते वक्त जो होगा सो होगा. Hence, as I'm contemplating the various academic choices I can make, and even choosing between the various career options that are before me right now, I'm open towards a diversity of opportunities. ISEC has helped very much, even in making this choice, by providing us with a very diverse group, a network of alumni, mentors, and elders to be guided by. In fact, being present here in this auditorium at this very moment is testament to the glorious and esteemed network that ISEC gives us as young people. To end with, I would like to share a quote by Winston Churchill. I believe it's attributed to him, but I don't know the authenticity of it. But I request you to listen to it very carefully. To each there comes in their lifetime a very special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do something very special, unique to them and fitted to their talents. What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared, unqualified for that which could have been their finest hour. What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared or unqualified for that which could have been their finest hour. These words often haunt my conscience. In connection with this, I will borrow another thought from a Native American adage. It was quoted by Julian Brave Noiscat in the Salon magazine earlier this year. The adage calls out to shake the hands that shake the world. To shake the hands that shake the world. What will come of shaking these hands, I do not know. These hands could be anything. Great ideas, great personalities, the position of great responsibility. What will happen after I shake these hands, I don't know, but if ISEC has prepared me for something, it is this. One day I will shake the hands that shake the world. And when I do, I will look that power in the eye and I will not tremble. My finest moment will find me prepared. Thank you very much. It's been such an honor.
Anirudh, you've left us speechless, but I will try and summarize. And thank you for sharing this experience with us. I understand it was as personal as it was for you, as it was for us to be a part of it. But more importantly, thank you for not just reminding us of our responsibility as ISECers, but of our responsibility as citizens of this great country. And the fact that this journey is only the start, because it needs to culminate at a point where we give back to our community.